What's up, guys? So I thought I'd do a video. It'd just be easier this way to kind of be able to share it with people in the future. I brought a listing to market a week or so ago, week and a half ago, and I've had a ton of calls, great things, nothing bad, but a ton of calls with questions from seasoned agents who have been doing this a long time, 10, 15, 20 years. Even just got a call from my brokerage compliance. Nothing bad, but it was more questions. We're bringing something new to market, and it's something that no one's really been doing minus one company. And so they just kind of had some questions on how my listing structure and how everything would work in the future. So I figured I'd give at least a little intro breakdown here. I'm sure I'll do some more videos as we go and then kind of mix in tours of the home as it gets closer to building and such. I will toss in at the end of this video a couple of the sketches of it. We have exterior sketches of the front and back of the home, so I will toss those out so at least you can kind of see what this current project is. But I'll give a little info on that, but more likely this video right here is more just on the overall concept of fractional shares. I took a listing in the north end of the city, and a lot of people, it's unique. We're basically doing a fractional ownership of a property. It is a full package, and it's, in layman's terms, it's kind of broken down as like a luxury vacation timeshare of sorts. The max is 8 owners. The way a lot of these work, there is a large company that does it, Picasso. But they've really started expanding. I think they're taking a little break, which is giving us a chance to kind of jump in. But they do it it occurs a lot in the places that are vacation destinations prevalent, like South Florida, California, Vegas, North Carolina, or Carolina's New York, Colorado. So places like that, it's happening a lot. And what happens is someone already has their primary home and they're going out and looking at a $3, $4, $5 million second home. Not many of us, but there are people out there that do it. And these people, I mean, I know clients that buy homes and they're not there more than 4, 6, 8 weeks a year. And it's almost unfortunate for the home because it sits vacant, and then when they come in, no one's flushed the toilets, no one's done this or that, and all of a sudden you do it and plumbing's bad, you get a leak, you get this, you get that. So I think sometimes it's a more, without beating the home up, it's a more consistent use of the home, and it allows for flexibility. What we're offering is 1/8 ownership. So we're putting a home inside an LLC, and that LLC also would own a boat and a golf cart. 6-seater street legal golf cart. The way we're doing fractional ownership is there are 8 shares of that LLC, and you're basically being able to buy them for X amount of price. So at my current example, just so we can use that for now, I'll give it short, $775,000 for a share. If you were to buy 2 shares, we give a slight discount. It's $1.5 million. There's a little bit of negotiating room there, but you're getting a brand new construction, 4,900 square foot house under air, 80 feet on the water, 10 minutes to the ocean. You're getting a $350,000 or $400,000 boat with a $25,000 6-seater street legal golf cart, and then the home is professionally furnished and designed. So you're getting the high-end luxury $6+ million package for. What we're doing is $775 a share. That gives you 6 weeks. So most of the way that these are done is, and you can buy as many shares as you want. So if you want to have 6 months a year, buy 4 shares. But it's one of those things where a lot of people don't need more than 1 or 2 shares. And if you buy 2 shares and it's $250,000 million, that's 12 weeks of the year. It's 3 months. I mean, most people aren't down here more than that. And you can buy 3 months here for $1.5 million and 3 months in Colorado for $1.5 million. And that's your 6 months a year that you travel anyway. And instead you're $3 million in instead of buying one house for 4, or in this case, a $6 million house. So it's giving people a lot more flexibility to travel and have multiple homes. You have your primary residence, and then someone might come in and buy, sounds crazy, but 2 or 3 different ones of these. And now all of a sudden they can go to Aspen for 6 weeks out of the year. They can go to London for 6 weeks out of the year. They can come to South Florida for 6 weeks out of the year. And then they can still work in Boston, New York, wherever else it may be, Chicago, or down here, and do it vice versa. But it's giving people more flexibility. The big questions I'm then getting are, well, what happens if I pay $775 or my client pays $775 this year, and in 6 months or a year, the house sells out, we get a CO at the end of the year, and they realize the market's down. a little bit. They feel it's down, or they need their money back and they want to list it at $700,000 just to get out. Well, if you do the math on that $700,000, instead of the house being worth 6.2 at 700, it's now worth 5, 6, 7 times 8. So the home value could drop. So what happens is the current other owners, the 7 share owners, would get first right of refusal. So whatever price that owner wants to take it to market at, those other owners would have the first right of refusal to purchase it before it hits market. So they can kind of keep the value of the home any way they want, or purchase more as they feel like it's downgrading, going down in value. Vice versa, if the house, even if it's going up, when they put it on, the current buyers have the ability to match and buy before it goes to market. Once it hits MLS, it's open free game. We do have a platform similar to what Picasso is going to be doing, and as we go along, we're going to be having multiple listings and a network of this. So it is something where we're going to offer a relist fee and keep in touch with the buyer. So if somebody wants to come back in 6 months, a year, 5 years from now and relist that property, we're going to have waiting lists for these homes. So what we'll be able to do is just sell that home to those people on the waiting list. If they'd like to at a market value, get an appraisal, get 2 appraisals, instead of potentially just going to market and taking that time and that additional cost. So there would be a break cost in just going to a waiting list instead of a 6% or whatever it may be for a list fee to go to market. A couple other things people were wondering is, what if they want to? So right now we're doing a fractional share. Somebody sees the home and now all of a sudden they're like, oh, well, I want the whole home. We've already sold 2 shares. We can have that design. We have multiple lots in the city that we're able to do with. So we can kind of take those designs and help you build a custom home, but you would be 18 months or so out. The big question is that I have is, hey, we're doing 8 shares. What happens if you only sell 5 shares and you get a CO in December? CO, just so you guys know, is certificate of occupancy. It's the day that you're able to legally move in and occupy the home per the inspections. All the permits have been closed out. So this home that we're talking about, just our example, is closing. They're expecting CO probably December, so let's say January. So we get CO, everyone that's bought, let's say we sold 5 shares. Those people get their time, they can have their months. We're not holding anyone back. Those people would be able to move in and we would just hold those other 3 shares. Some companies will not do that. The way that we're structured, we're able to kind of hold those shares and then we'd have the right to rent those shares and do that, or hold them, and my guess is pull them off market and give it 6 months or a year and throw a share on at a time on market and move them along. But it won't hinder the people currently owning. At the same time, if we pull 3 shares off and in 6 months or a year we decide, hey, we want to now throw those 3 shares back on the market, when I say we, it would be the team, but mostly the investor, developer, myself. If those shares do want to come back to the market, then we will give the current owners of that property first right of refusal. Same way as selling. Hey, we're going to bring it back to market at 800, 825. Do you guys want a shot at it before we throw it on the market? Maybe they do. So we try and make it as fair as possible. And to be honest, keep the ownership the way they want it. I mean, once they get comfortable and there are 5 or 6 owners, they might not want a new guy in 2 years coming in. So they might want to just kind of keep buying and selling within themselves to keep those shares within a small group. It's all different. Everything's a different opportunity. And this is, I think, a concept that will grow as it goes along. But in short, I think it could really create a unique niche market. It's not for everyone, but there are more people than you would think that own multiple homes and are not in those homes for more than 2 months out of the year, 3 months out of the year. And anyone not using that luxury home more than their 6-month gap to get tax reasons. I mean, at that point, unless you're down in South Florida, 181 days to be able to consider yourself a resident and then get tax reasons. I mean, most of them aren't down here more than 2 to 3 months. And at that case, you buy a quarter share and you're in $1.5 million for your $6 million plus home. You have your golf cart, you have your boat, you have all your toys, you have a fully furnished home when you come down in a great area, but you're not spending $5 or $6 million or $4 million. Maybe that's what your budget is. Let's say your budget's 3.5 or 4. Well, instead of spending that and having a smaller, not quite as nice, it'd still be gorgeous, but it might not be in as great of an area or as nice of a home, you can get exactly what you want for 1.5. And then maybe you spend 1.5 again on another place in Colorado or London or whatever it may be. And for your same 3 to 4 million, you now have your 6 months out of the year locked up in 2 very high-end homes. And I mean, as a lot of people know, people make money in real estate, and this is true ownership. It's not, it's not an awkward way I think a lot of people almost worry about timeshares and, oh, this or that, you're really renting, not owning. You physically own. It's part of an LLC, and you own an eighth or the shares of the LLC. So if the real estate market goes up 10% and this home's now worth 660, 6 million, 7, 6, 8, whatever it may be, in 4 or 5 years, you'd have the ability to sell it and cash out and make $75, $80, $100,000 on your property. So I mean, there's a lot of ways to look at it. And again, it can go down and you can lose money on it, just like any other home. But then you're also looking at it and you haven't had to come out with as much holding costs and everything else. And I think that's what I haven't mentioned in the beginning, and this is kind of what it circles back to, is some of these high-end homes, your holding cost is astronomical. If you're having, and even if it's just taxes and insurance, I mean, taxes and insurance in some of these homes can be 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, taxes can be $110,000 a month, $8,000 a month. You're 15 to 20 grand, 15 grand a month between taxes and insurance. So even with 8 owners, it's $2,000 or $3,000 once you're cleaning the home, doing the pool, doing the lawn, all of that. So instead of potentially using a home and having 10 grand, I mean, maybe $100,000 a year in holding costs for the home, you might only have $15,000, $20,000, $25,000 a year in holding cost. And so you're only paying for what you're using on something like this, which I think is a nice little bit of a feature. A lot of people don't think of the holding cost of a home, but I mean, these big homes, to keep the electric on, to run the AC, it's not cheap. I mean, you're spending $1,000 a month for the electric. You're spending $500 or $1,000 for the yard work, the pool, all of this. I mean, it really adds up on something that you're only there for 25% of the year. So this is a great way for these people to find a way to best utilize their time and their money. And I think a lot of them are doing that, and they're starting to be more creative in, how can I make my money work for me? And this is a way you can make your money work for you. You're not putting $5, $6, $7 million out. You're putting $1 million, $750,000 out for something that you're still getting the same usage and benefits out of, but you're also not having to potentially leverage yourself 2 or 3-fold. And now you can take that extra $2, $3, $4, $5 million and put it into the market, buy another business, whatever it may be. Or if you don't have that money, you can, instead of being able to, you can't afford a $6 million house, maybe like we said, you could only do 2 or 3. Now you can still buy this, and you can keep what you have, and you can now have this as a second home and a phenomenal vacation home for the 6 weeks a year you're going to come down and use it, which is all anyone's going to do. So then the last thing, speaking of those weeks, wanted to break down, a couple of people always ask, well, how does it work? 2 big things about it. Every single year it changes. So if you have Christmas this year, you probably won't have Christmas next year. You could, but it doesn't mean you do. The other big thing is, anyone that's done fantasy football, fantasy sports, whatever, it's kind of like a snake draft. First person to buy a contract, go under contract. Each share that goes under contract, you pick a week. Goes through, at the end it snakes back, everyone picks their weeks until you get to the end. Once it gets to the end, we know things come up. There's a few weeks, like I said, there's 4 weeks a year that the ownership has basically to clean up and do repairs on the home. If you have a legitimate reason, you can always reach out to ownership and ask if they'd be willing to swap one of the weeks with you. We also will create some sort of and it would just depend on the owners on what they want to do, but we would work on creating a platform, whether it's a group through WhatsApp or whatever it may be, that would really allow constant communication. So let's say you have Thanksgiving and you're like, you know what, now all of a sudden my aunt and uncle are coming in town, we can't use it. Let's try and trade it for Christmas. You can throw it up for trade and swap a week with somebody else, whatever it may be. So if you do end up wanting 2 weeks back to back and you see John as the week after you, you can ask John, hey, I have these 6 weeks. What week would you guys want that I could swap with you? So there's some flexibility there. And then, like I said, you're not stuck with the same 6 weeks year after year. So it gives people, hey, if I want to be there 2 or 3 weeks at a time, it's probably very doable. If I want to split it up and be 2 weeks here, a week here, 3 weeks here, whatever it may be, any of those concepts, it's doable just by shifting the calendar and the clock and talking to people. With communication these days, I mean, whether people are on WhatsApp, whether they're on Facebook, whatever it may be, we'll make a chat group for everyone. My guess is we'll end up having subsections on our page that'll end up allowing people to connect and sell their shares off market in their home, and then also be able to trade their weeks. And then at the end of each year, we basically go back through and ask if everyone votes on, hey, we just want to keep the same weeks, keep the same weeks. Maybe you just do that and then you trade your 2 or 3 that you have. But every house will be different, but we're trying to keep it as constant and regular as we possibly can, and as flexible as we can. We know the 6 or 8 owners of house A may not be the same 6 or 8 owners of house B in the way they want to do it. So there's going to be some strict guidelines and standards, but besides that, it's going to be flexible. It's how each ownership wants to do it. If they want to upgrade the fridge, it's going to be a vote process. If they're like, hey, we want to add this outdoor putting green, or we want to do this or that. If everyone says, hey, we want to do it, or maybe John's like, you know what, guys, it's 20 grand, I'll throw 10 or 15, and if everyone wants to throw another 1,000 in, those are things that can easily be done and voted upon. And then it's just a matter of getting final say, getting the permits done and doing it. But that's kind of the thing, is it's not that you can't do it. It's just that you need to speak with everyone else and get those things done. But there's definitely going to be flexibility. And I think it's going to be a cool concept. I'm excited about it. The more we talk to people about it, people are just like, man, I can't believe it. I could be in this home for this price. And it's just, it's exciting. It's something new. No one's really offered it before. And I think it's going to hit a niche market that really it could go crazy. We have multiple of these in the works that this year we're kind of launching this one as a soft launch, and then next year we plan on probably doing 3 or 4 more of these. So kind of look out for it. We are going to do a couple more videos coming up on the actual project we have in Lighthouse Point currently, a little bit more on the home itself and the actual breakdown of prices, what you get for it, what the boat is, what the golf cart is, the actual package there. This, we kind of use it as an example and told a little bit about it, but I know that there's a lot more in-depth that we could do. I just wanted to give people a basic idea of fractional shares, and as I say that, this is probably going to be a 15+ minute video. I will try and cut it down and do a little bit of a short. I'll probably go live on this as well, and I'm sure I'll do another one of these down the road as more questions come in. But for now, I wanted to hit just kind of the main things. So if you did have any questions, I can direct people to this and hopefully give people a basic understanding of how it goes, and then you can kind of go from there. If you have any questions, I'm looking to actually break this out throughout South Florida. Working with multiple developers. We're hoping that 2024 we can really kind of open up and do a bunch of fractional shares throughout the area. So if you are an investor or developer and you're interested in being a part of this, give me a call and let's see what we can do. Thank you very much, and everyone have a great day.